Oh, let's take a breath. That song is so beautiful. It surprised me. I haven't heard that in many, many, many years, and I remember going to church with my mother as a child and hearing that song every Sunday. And so it took me back, and it just really touched my heart, Sweet Hour of Prayer. Oh, let's breathe that in. Thank you again, Reverend Glenn, for the reminder, Sweet Hour of Prayer. Just say yes. That's what we're talking about this month. Just say yes. How many people have been aware of saying yes? How many people have been actually saying yes this month? Yes. Oh, great. Let's hear it again. Yes. Yes. That's how many people have been doing that. And how many realize the more you say yes, the more opportunity you have to say yes? Yes. And some of those opportunities we weren't really looking for. Yes, that's the way it works. That's the way it works. And I've had several people here during the week who have come in and out and have said to me, just say yes, Rev.Sherry. And I said, where'd you hear that? So, but we have to just say it over and over and over again. And our yes is what opens us up to spirit. Our yes is what opens us up to the flow of life. Our yes is what opens us up to the recognition that life is for living and to all the possibilities contained in that knowing that life is for living. And so today, my question for us and the topic and my question for us is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And I ask that question of you, and I want you to ask that question of yourself. And the question is not, who am I? And ordinarily, I encourage people who are doing self-talk to talk in terms of I, talking about I rather than you out there. But this time I'm asking you to reverse it and just ask the question of yourself, who are you? Because when we ask that question, our yes determines who we are. Our yes can show us who we are. What we're saying yes to shows us who we are. And when I ask the question, who are you, I'm not asking who you are by reputation, what other people think, what other people have said, how other people have labeled you, or whatever. That's according to your reputation, who other people think you are, who other people say you are, how other people see you. That's how we answer the question sometimes, who are you? And I'm asking the question, who are you, the core of you? Who are you, the core of your being, the very essence of who you are? And that's more of a character kind of question. Who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you when nobody is around? Who are you when it's really tough to do the right thing? Who are you when nobody would even know whether you're doing the right thing? Nobody but you. Who are you that nobody knows but you? That's the real question for us. And that, as I said, that's a character question, and it kind of dovetails with integrity also. But today I'm just talking about the essence of who we are. Who are you? And I think it's a question that we have to ask ourselves over and over and over again as we go through our lives, because all kinds of situations come up. And we see ourselves responding to situations or reacting, depending on how you are doing, or whether you're responding or whether you're reacting. But we see ourselves doing that according to who we are. According to who we are. And then the question becomes, once we become aware of how we're reacting or how we're responding, is that who you really are? Is that who you really are? And that's a question to ask ourselves, is this who I am? And to ask yourself, who are you? Who are you? Is this the way I want to be? Is this who I want to be? And these are constant questions, constant awarenesses that we must have always as we go through our lives. And as we ask this question over and over and over, it requires us to be mindful, because we have to be mindful of what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're responding, what kinds of situations are going on. So you can't be off in the ether someplace. You got to be fully present to be able to ask that question over and over. And this is how we change our behavior. This is how we change our beliefs. This is how we change our lives. This is how we change your thinking, change your life. Because we are aware in each and every moment of the decisions that we're making, whether or not we're saying yes, and is this something I really want to say yes to? It's a kind of a mind-boggling process sometimes. A few weeks ago, I had someone ask me to do something for them, and my initial thought was yes, but it wasn't a clear yes. It wasn't an unfettered yes, as I like to say. It had a little something, because my natural response was yes. I didn't say anything, but that was my natural feeling about it. But as it kind of settled with me, I recognized there's something there that was keeping me from feeling like yes. So I kept thinking about it, and then my ego said, well, they wouldn't do that for you. So why would you do that? So then I wanted to say no. But I recognized that the no wasn't clear and clean. The no was determined by that ego thought they wouldn't do that for you. How would the circumstances be what would the response be if the circumstances were different? So then I started getting, they're always wanting me to do something for them. Ego stuff started coming up. Ego arguments started coming up. And I had to just look at that, because each time an argument came up, the answer came more and more to no. Now, I don't have a problem saying no. I recognize that it's necessary to say no sometimes. But when I say no, I want it to be from a clean place. I want it to be from a clear place. I want it to be from a place of an open heart. I want it to be from a place where no is what I'm choosing to say. Not for any hidden reason, not for any hidden agenda, not for any ego stuff. It's just that, no, that doesn't work for me. And so, but I wasn't at that place. It took me all week. It took me all week to get a response, because I kept thinking, this doesn't feel right. I know that by this time I had come to the conclusion that the answer was no. However, it still didn't feel clean in my heart, and I had to really work through that. And as I came up with each reason why the answer was no, I was saying to myself, is this who I am? Who are you? Who are you? And that's how the thought for this topic came up, about how who we are determines our yes. Determines our yes. And so I had to really walk through that. And I'm telling you this because there are times when situations come up that we really have to walk through to see, am I coming from a place of a clean heart? Is this who I am? And nobody knows what I'm thinking. Nobody knows how I feel. I could just say no and just go on. But is that real clean for me? Is that really who I am? Is that really the way that I want to be? I can just say, no, that doesn't work for me. That's what I ended up saying, because it didn't. But just watching myself go through that process, rather than saying an automatic yes, because the automatic yes was kind of covered in that should blanket. It's like I should say yes, or why not? And it could have been a why not, but that wasn't real clear either. That wasn't real clean either. And so just going back to the basic question, who are you? And I would look at myself in the mirror and say, who are you? Is this answer consistent with who I am? Is this answer consistent with how I want to be in the world? Is this answer consistent with an open heart, a clean heart, a clear heart? Is this answer consistent with oneness, with knowing the truth of who I am? And so that's what I'm inviting you to do as you go through your life, as you go through your day. There are always things that come up that make us ask ourselves, who are you? Who are you? Is this consistent with who I am? Is this consistent with the core of me? And so as we go through our days, just sort of imagine if someone had a videotape running when nobody else is around, you're by yourself, and somebody has a videotape going. How would you feel about that? Is the same person who shows up on that videotape that you didn't know is there the person that is presented to the world? When you're by yourself, is that same person being presented to the world? Is that same person being presented here on Sunday mornings? The same person who shows up here on Sundays is the same person who gets on Facebook and responds in all kinds of ways that that we see on Facebook sometimes in all kinds of language? Is that who you are? And I think that's a question for us to ask ourselves. And I say Facebook, that's, as I said to you before, that's the only social media outlet that I know how to operate. And I don't do that very much. But I do go on it periodically, and I do see all kinds of responses and all kinds of language and all kinds of stuff that we either that are either being posted by people I know here, or people not only here but in other communities also, but being posted, and or that are being responded to, and the name calling and the spewing out of negativity, the spewing out of language and energy and anything other than that sense of oneness, that sense of love and all that. Is that who you are? Because on Sundays we don't do that when we're here. And when we're around other people, we don't do that. So I don't know whether it's the anonymity of social media that makes us think it's okay for me to say this, it's okay for me to call this person this name, it's okay for me to do whatever because nobody can see me. But no, they can't, but the energy is out there. And is that what we want to really put out into the world? This is Martin Luther King weekend. And King talked about the beloved community. And the beloved community being the human community that comes together to meet the needs of humankind, the basic needs of humankind. And you know the basic need of humankind? We always generally think of food, but the basic need of humankind is love. The basic need of humankind is love. Love. And so that love, that need for love, first of all, as the reading said, our commitment has to be, in answering the question, who are you? Our commitment has to be, I am one who releases that vibration of love in everything I do and everywhere I go. And so when we post these things, or when we say these words, or when we yell at somebody who passes us on, or cuts us off on the freeway in our car, we still are spewing out that stuff out into the energy, out into the ethers. That stuff that is inconsistent with love. And so who are you applies to us all of the time. All of the time, whether somebody's watching or not. All of the time. It applies to us in how we're thinking. Not only what we're saying, but how we're thinking, how we're responding. And so it's really important for us to get to that place of oneness, to recognize that it is really important for us to be able to answer that question over and over again, who are you? And to be really clear about who you are. And if you're not happy with who you are, because Ernest Holmes says we're always creating who we are. And if you're not happy with, if you're not satisfied, you can change the situation by changing your thoughts and your attitudes. And so that sounds real simple. It isn't always easy, but it's really simple. If you're not happy with who you are and who you're creating in each and every moment, we can create something different because we are creators. We are co-creators with Spirit. And so we're always creating who we are, which means we can always change who we are. We can always act differently. We can always think differently. We can always be different. We can always strive for something more. We can always turn it around from wherever we are now and go in the other direction. And so that's what I invite you to do, and that's what we do with our yes. Just saying yes to Spirit, saying yes to ourselves. And so a couple of things I want you to remember. In answering the question, and just saying yes and answering the question, who are you? Know that you can be and you are a beneficial presence on this planet. That is so important. Be a beneficial presence on this planet. Be a beneficial presence on this planet. That is such a powerful, powerful, powerful intention, to be a beneficial presence. And when we set our intention to be a beneficial presence, do you know that that question comes up all the time? Who are you? Who are you? Because your every action you have to be aware of. Your every thought you have to be aware of. Your every response you have to be aware of. Your every interaction you have to be aware of. And the question has to always be, am I a beneficial presence? Is this what being a beneficial presence means? Is this the way being a beneficial presence is this the way is this the way it looks? Who is this benefiting? Who is this benefiting? Because the benefit has to be for everybody. It has to be for the highest and best for everybody, for all beings. That's how we develop the beloved community. By being a benefit, if I'm a beneficial presence and you're a beneficial presence, then this community becomes a beneficial presence. Because this community, CLF community, becomes the beloved community because of the combination is the word that comes up, but it's not the right word. The combination of who we each are, each one of us, come together to make up that beloved community. So the community here cannot be any more loving than I am. It cannot be any more loving than you are. It cannot be any more loving than you are. This community cannot be any more prosperous than you are. It cannot be any more giving than you are. It cannot be any more harmonious than you are. It is a combination, a compilation, that's the word. It's a compilation of who we are individually. That's what goes up to make this community be the community that it is. And if we want to be a beloved community, it's because we are the beloved community within our own hearts. We are the beloved individuals that go to make up this beloved community. And so I'm inviting you to really look at, am I a beneficial presence? Am I a beneficial presence? Is my action right now, however small it may be, or however big it may be, is this benefiting more than just me? Is this a benefit to the world? Is this something that I want out into the world that will benefit the world? And then when we really get into that place, a part of being a beneficial presence requires us to take the high road. It requires us to take the high road. Take a breath on that. I want you to understand that the high road can be a lonely road. The high road doesn't always have a lot of traffic on it. It really doesn't. Because people will have intentions to take the high road and fall short or get off, take a little detour someplace else. Something will come up, like, things always come up. Something comes up really quickly, and all of a sudden you've gotten off the high road and you're headed down another path. And when you see that, what you can do is always just get right back on. We can just get right back on over and over and over again. But taking the high road, and sometimes that's more difficult to do because in the decision I was telling you about, it required me to take the high road every time I thought, well, they wouldn't do that for me. That's not the high road. Well, if the situation were different, what would they do? Well, that's not the high road either. That has nothing to do with the high road. So I had to keep getting back on that high road. I kept going down those little paths, and I had to keep coming back and keep coming back. And that's what I invite you to do in every little situation. It may be in our personal relationships, it may be in our work relationships, it may be in dealing with strangers, it may be in dealing with anything that comes up in our lives. Just being willing to take the high road. And when we take the high road, that's how we become a beneficial presence. Because the high road requires us to rise above the stuff, to rise above, as Howard Thurman says, the thicket in which our hearts get caught, to rise above that which makes us want to give as good as I get. That what makes us want to respond, that makes us want to react, that makes us want to get back at somebody. That's not the high road. That's not being a beneficial presence. And so I'm inviting you to really take the high road, take a breath. And it doesn't matter how somebody else would do it. Dare to take the high road. Dare to think about the highest and best for all concerned. Dare to think about, how can I release and let go of this resistance? How can I move into the flow? How can I be at one with that power and that presence that is my very life? How can I be at one with that within which I live and move and have my being? How can I be at one with the presence in whose image and likeness I am made? These are all the things that we know, all the truth that we know about ourselves, about who we are. And answering the question, who are you, is determined by our relationship with that one. Our relationship with the presence, our relationship with God determines who we are. And the closer we get to God, the more time we spend with God, the more we know who we are, and the more we act accordingly. It's pretty hard to sing Sweet Hour of Prayer and have that in our hearts, and then acting totally differently from that. The more we practice the presence of God, the more we practice, the more we know, the more we acknowledge God's presence as our very life and acknowledge that guidance in that direction that we're receiving, then the better we are able to answer the question, who are you, and act accordingly. And so I invite you to do that. I invite you to do that. And then I invite you to just say yes. Just say yes. Just say yes. And keep saying yes over and over and over again. Keep saying yes over and over and over again. Keep saying yes over and over and over again. Because the more we say yes, the more our hearts open. And the more our hearts open, the closer we become to God. And the closer we become to God, see how that goes? The closer we become to God, the more our lives just take off. The more we recognize that life really is for living and that there are so many possibilities. There's so many possibilities for us. And so it's important for us to recognize, change your thinking, change your life, yes. And then change your life. This is not a namby-pamby teaching that we have here. This is not an airy-fairy teaching. It's law. Did I say something funny? Okay. The namby-pamby, okay. That's this is not that kind of teaching. It's truth. It's truth. It's truth. Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life, because once you change your thinking, you will change your words. And once you change your words, which are creative, then we will change our behavior. And once we change our behaviors, our lives have changed. And when our life changes, all the lives around us change. That's how change happens in the world. That's what yes says for us. That's what yes does for us. And so I'm inviting you, just say yes. Just say yes. Just open your heart, open your mind. Just say yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes again. Because we all benefit from our yes. I was an associate minister at a church in Santa Cruz, and there was a song that we used to sing. It was called I Say Yes. Does anybody know I Say Yes? It's like, I say yes, every day of my life. I say yes, 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 yes. When I wake up in the morning and lay my head to rest, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes, every day of my life. I say yes, 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 yes. When I wake up in the morning and lay my head to rest, I say yes, I say yes. One more time. I say yes, I say yes, every day of my life. I say yes, 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 yes. When I wake up in the morning and lay my head to rest, I say yes, I say yes. You know, God has a wonderful sense of humor. Let's turn within as we just say yes. That's one of our new congregational songs. I say yes. Ooh, let's take a breath. we just turn within in this moment. Our hearts filled with yes. I say yes, I say yes, I say yes. I say yes to that one power. I say yes to that one presence. I say yes to that one life. I say yes to that one mind. I say yes to that one breath. I say yes, 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 yes. Just knowing that this yes is the only thing that is. This yes is my very life. This yes is that power and that presence. And that's what I'm saying yes to. That's what we all say yes to, for it is our very life. And so knowing this truth, I speak the word for each of us this day. I speak a word of openness. I speak a word of wholeness. I speak a word of healing. I speak a word of oneness with that power and that presence known as God. Knowing that it is my life, the life of each of us here, and that life moves in and through and as me right now, it moves in and through and as each one of us right now. And we allow it with our yes to just spread forth, to have full sway with each of us, to use each of us as it sees fit. And as we allow this, we release anything that would block, anything that would hold us back, anything that would appear as resistance. We let all that stuff go and we open our hearts, we open our minds, and we just say yes. Yes, God. Yes. And as we say yes, healing happens on every level of our being. This is what I'm speaking a word for each of us this day, healing on every level of our being. Healing on every level of our being. Healing everywhere. In every life, in every situation, in every circumstance. And if we release anything unlike it and open ourselves up to the healing, open ourselves up to the greater, open ourselves up to the all that is, the fullness of God, and allow it to express fully in and through and as our very lives. As I open this circle of prayer, you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or aloud, but you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that the power and the presence of God is right where each of them is, healing anything that is unlike itself, making whole that which appears broken, mending broken hearts, and anything that appears broken in our bodies of affairs. I know that this prayer goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, knowing that God is in the midst of everything, every situation, every circumstance, every event. Whatever we name it, God is in the midst of it. And all indeed is well, despite the appearances. And so I simply say thank you, Father, Mother God, for this time. Thank you for this word spoken here this day. Thank you for our huge yes. Thank you for everything. I'll just allow it to be now. And so it is.